Alright, so this video is about misgendering. It's a week late, and that's because I'm working on another video that, due to the subject matter, I need to take a little more time on, and so that threw me off. And I've been misgendered my whole life. I've gotten he, she, what are you, and anything else you could be called, I got called that. And it really sucks. It hurts. Like, I'll physically flinch when it happens now. And especially if, well, not especially if, it just really sucks. And funnily enough, not funnily, but interestingly enough, the first time I went out in public after top surgery, I got called a lady. And which is insane because I literally just had massive surgery, and your first thought is to go lady. And I live in California, which is more liberal, and so even though I dress more masculinely, I still get she, her a lot, which is good for butch women. They're getting their identities, they're getting affirmed. But if you're a trans guy who is not on T, oh, this is my puppy Rose. If you're a trans guy who's not on T, it sucks, because that'll happen quite a bit. And it would have been better if I had a puppy with me at the time, but I did not. And now this puppy is biting my finger, but even that is better than getting misgendered. Yes, that's right, Rose. Bite the people who misgender and don't correct. Yes. I gotta check my notes. Yes, Rose, I gotta check my notes. So yeah, I flinch when it happens now. And like when it would happen as a kid, I knew that if I got he/himmed, my mom would then afterwards be like, oh, we gotta get you in girly clothes, grow out your hair, you need to look like a girl, blah blah blah, you are a girl, blah blah blah. And so now I flinch when it happens. I'm like, that might, even though that's not gonna happen, it still feels like it will. It's really hard when I get misgendered at work, because I want to correct, but, and my work supports me. They know, the people in charge know I'm trans, and I'm sure they would support me, but, our work is based, like any work, is based on customers and members, and I'm worried that if I corrected them, they'll figure out I'm trans, although it should be pretty obvious. 26-year-old guys don't tend to sound like this. But I'm worried that if they did figure out I'm trans, then they would have a big stink about it, and they would leave, and they would get other members to leave, and then I don't know if that would mean I would get fired if we're losing customers like that. And so that's why I don't really like to correct at work. But if I do get asked by like a kid, it's always a little kid who's like, are you a boy or a girl? Then I'll say I'm a boy. But if I get she, her, then I'm not likely to correct it, which sucks. And I still get it all the time with my family. I've been out for all of them at least 2 years, and then most of them for like 4 years. And no one corrects each other. I'm told they support me and love me, but then they don't help me when I need the help. Because after a while, it's hard to correct every single time. And so I'm like, I'm out of energy. I'm like, why? It's not gonna make it better. And that one's the one that's really frustrating. Because I'm like, if you support me, why don't you help me out here when I clearly need the help? The scariest time, obviously, is when I'm out in public and strangers do it. Because, if I get he/himmed, I really don't want to talk after that, because I don't want them then thinking, I don't want there to be any physical violence or anything like that. I've been lucky so far to not have to deal with that, but it's always a possibility, even in California, because while we're on the whole liberal, there's a lot of rural areas that are not, and I'm in a bit more of a rural area. And so that's the one that's hard, and I tend to just go with whatever the first, if they she her me, I go with it. If I get he himmed, I go with it, though a bit worried about having a long interaction at that point. And whenever it happens, I do try to think like, oh, because it typically happens in front of a kid, or a kid's is like, is that a boy or a girl? And then before I can answer, the parent goes, oh, it's a girl. I try to think about like, oh, this kid's learning that girls and women can present more masculinely, and there's not just one way to be a woman. I try to tell myself that. I actually do tell myself that every time, but it doesn't really do much for me. And I honestly don't really know what to do when this happens, other than if I can safely correct it, I will safely correct it. If not, then I really don't know what to do. And if you have any suggestions as how to deal with it, you can put them in the comments. I would love any and all help on this. I'm sorry I can't be more of a help. This is more of just to say, yep, I've been there, I hear you when this happens, and it sucks. Because it's respectful to address someone the way they want to be addressed. And if you don't know how they want to be addressed, either ask or just go with the neutral terms they them, and any other ones that are neutral. It's just about respect, and it really sucks to not be respected repeatedly and repeatedly. And I will say that I make mistakes. I misgender sometimes. And when I do, I correct myself. And if the situation is appropriate, I apologize and I correct it and I move on. It's as simple as that. So if you're not transgender watching this going, oh, it's difficult, what do I do? If the situation warrants an apology, I'd say if it was one-on-one, I would apologize. If it's in a group, then I don't really want to cause a big... It's tricky, because I don't want to cause a big deal. Sorry, the puppy's getting playful. If it's in a big group, like, I don't know if someone's out, and in that case, I would pull the person aside individually and be like, oh, I'm sorry about that. How should I handle this in the future? I don't know, because I don't want to accidentally out you, because that can be dangerous. So just talk to someone. Just talk to the person in question and be like, hey, what should I do? Because that's respectful, and that's helpful, and that's good. And like, if they're not out and they get misgendered, then you can just share a look, be like, I hear you, I get that, it's okay. Someday it will be okay, hopefully. We're working on that. And that's pretty much it. So in a couple weeks I'll put up another video, and this puppy's finally not, she's literally been biting my hand this whole time. And I'll put up a video in a couple weeks. It'll be a bit different, it won't be trans related, but it's an important topic that hasn't been discussed yet and I think should be discussed. And yeah, hope you have a good week. Bye.